Hi, I'm Bunny Cakes and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a review for Stephen King's Finders Keepers. It is book 2 in the Bill Hodges trilogy and it is the sequel to Mr. Mercedes. Um, as you can see, it has a really interesting cover. Let me make sure you can see that. Um, it's raining blood over a book. Um, and that is because one of the main plot points is that there is this guy who is super obsessed with an author, which kind of rings back to his book Misery, which was also a really good book. This was an amazing book. I did find myself a little bit confused until about page 147 because the series title character was nowhere to be found, and the connections to the first book were, in my opinion, kind of loose. Um, the main character's father was in the um, tragic mass murder kind of thing from Mr. Mercedes, and it happened in the same town, and that was about the only connection. But then a little ways in, finally around 147, you do Bill Hodges does come into it. So up until that point, it's about this kid who finds these journals and all this money that were stolen from an author who were murdered or who was murdered. And you also have some of the story of how that author got murdered. And that ties into the fact that the guy who murdered the author and buried the money and stuff ends up coming after the kid who finds the money. The kid uses the money to support his family during a really hard time during the recession. And it's that, up to that point, was a really good story, and it never had to be tied into the Bill Hodges trilogy to have been a good book, let alone a good Stephen King book. Unlike Mr. Mercedes, you actually do get some tiny hints of something supernatural going on. Bill has seemingly become a little bit obsessed with the Mr. Mercedes killer, and so he keeps going back to the hospital to visit him because weird things are happening around the guy. And you don't really get a whole lot of that story. There's just tidbits. But eventually you find out that there's a deeper connection between the teen main character in this book and the characters from the other book. This boy's little sister used to be best friends with Jerome's little sister from Mr. Mercedes, and that ends up bringing Bill into the mix because the sister gets worried and reports what's going on to Bill, and he ends up, coming in and investigating and helping protect the family from this prisoner. Well, not a prisoner. He gets out of prison, and but he's still this like super bad, like insane criminal. But yeah, it's a really sweet story, and you get to see how Jerome and Bill and oh god, I can't remember her name. The sister of Bill's girlfriend who survives Mr. Mercedes. She's in it, and you see the character growth, and it's just a really, really amazing thing that's going on with them. And it's another great Stephen King book, and I was almost a little disappointed that he started to bring in some supernaturally stuff, because, like, the first book was so good without it. I kind of wanted to see him do a whole series without it. So I'm hoping that maybe it won't weigh too heavily on the plot line in the final book, End of Watch. That being said, I can't remember if I said it earlier, but Mr. Mercedes is going to be a TV show. The TV show comes out on August 9th. For the life of me, I cannot remember what channel. So I will look it up and link it down below. The trailers I've seen for it look amazing. And I don't know how far into the series it's going to go in its first season, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Most of the actors look exactly like what I expected them to look like. So that's really awesome. And I can't wait for it. And I highly recommend the entire, well, not the entire, the first two books of the Bill Hodges series seem to be really, really good. I have high hopes for the third book. As soon as I can get my hands on it, I'm going to read it. I hope I can do that before the TV show comes out, but that's in a few days, so I doubt it. But we'll see what happens. And like I said, it shouldn't go that deep into it in the first season, so I still have some time and wiggle room, hopefully. So that's all I have for this review, and thank you for watching, and keep reading.